Are live. My name is Eric, and you may know me from Q2C, VR Gamer, Virtual Strangers, and the Kick-Ass VR Crewcast. Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of the Impact Reality XR podcast. We are usually a bi-weekly podcast that gives you an inside look at the VR, AR, and XR industry and the passionate people that make it all happen. We will normally be going live every other week when it's at all possible. And while we will be your main host, you will see some other Impact Reality teams step in behind the mic from time to time. But for today, let me say hello to my two co-hosts. First up from the YouTube podcast Between Realities, the VR Crewcast, Upload VR and XR Update correspondent, and 3-time VR Awards finalist, Skiva. What is up, dude? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing very well. How's your day going today?
Good, but I mean, your intro has me out of breath, dude. Can you have a little less accolades next time? Because I don't know if I could keep up with it.
If you were on it, you would have said the rest of them too. No, I'm just kidding.
Not one, not two, but officially three. Can you tell us about that third one, Skiva?
Yeah, what's your
third one? So, some time ago, I met these cool people and we started this amazing company called Impact Reality, where all we do is try our damnedest every single day to bring VR to the masses. It's called Impact Reality, and we are this new company is up for Rising VR Company of the Year. It's a huge deal for the VR Awards, right? So very proud of that, and excited, and we'll be over there at the VR Awards in November. And it's going to be great. So tune into that and check out Impact Reality. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on all the different social media platforms, because we are doing great things for great games and great studios.
Hell yeah. Well said, my friend. Well said. And then we have Jasmine from the awesome YouTube and TikTok channel, VR with Jasmine, the Kick-Ass podcast, VR and all that jazz, meta ambassador, and she is the straw that stirs this crazy drink that is Impact Reality. What's going on, Jazz? How you doing?
I still don't understand what that means, but
it's a throwback. It's a throwback to a baseball player in New York. His name is Darryl Strawberry, and basically they called him the straw that stirred the drink.
Okay, throwback to some olden times I don't know about. The baseball
olden times. It was the 80s, for God's sakes.
I was even born in the 80s.
Oh my God, you weren't even born in the 80s.
And sports, not yet. No, I wasn't ever gonna get that one. Thanks for sharing with me.
There's somebody out there right now that's going, man, it's the straw. Yeah, I remember the straw. They're probably older, but yeah.
I remember. I mean, do I count?
Yes, you do count. 100%. Thank God, Skiva. Thank God. Jazz, how are you doing? What's going on with you? How's everything going?
I am doing great. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so exciting. Now I also have now all three of us in our company has one finalist finalist thingy award. Yeah, VR award thingy under our belt. So that's really cool. That's so exciting for us too. I have to tell you all, when we first heard about this, we freaked out. So it was very cool.
We did kind of freak out a little bit, and I think it's warranted as a bit of a freak out. I mean, it's a pretty cool accolade for a company that's just over or just under a year old, really, to be nominated or to be a finalist for the VR, for Rising VR Company of the Year. I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen for sure. I'm like, wow, really?
It's not being up for an award that's awesome per se, right? It's that every day you get up and you grind and you push so hard to make things happen and to be really good at what you do and try to bring all these games into the light and try to change how some of these launches and make them successful. And sometimes you feel does anyone even notice, right? And then it's just being noticed for your hard work, no matter what you do, is just sometimes really rewarding. And so I'm really really excited about that. It's not that we want to win all these awards, although that's really 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 nice. It's just good to be have your hard work recognized. That's all.
I want to win all the awards. I don't know about you.
Me too. But yeah, you can tell how much work we put in. Look at one of Eric's eyes like this. He's so tired.
Oh my God, dude.
So much.
You're not kidding. It's right now it's a craziness because I'm in the middle of a house move and working like crazy. It's we're getting to the busy time of the year, guys. VR is just about to take off. We just got done with Gamescom. We're just about to run into MetaConnect. It's holiday season. We have a new headset coming. it's like the VR world is going to be running around with its hair on fire very shortly.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get to all of that, but we do have a very exciting guest tonight.
We have 2 very exciting guests tonight, which is awesome. Let's bring on from the development studio for Fun Labs with the OG game 11 Table Tennis and the new fun and exciting game Bounce Shot. Let's bring in. Who did I bring in first? There we go.
Philip.
What is up, Philip? How you doing? This is Philip Witt, the software developer for Fun Labs, and then we also have here we go, Oscar Vasquez, the director of product. How are you doing, man? How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Excited.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. This is actually it's just our 3rd episode of the Impact Reality podcast. So we appreciate developers coming in, taking time to come in and talk to us and tell us a little bit about, give people kind of an inside look behind the games. Tell us a little bit about what it goes into to make these amazing games. And then, some of the trials and tribulations and victories that you guys have in doing them. So we really appreciate you being here and just talking VR with us.
Yeah, so that was a lot of questions. So let's start with the first one. Can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into the VR industry? Like, why VR?
Yeah, you want me to? Yeah. You go ahead, Philip. You start off.
Sure. Let's see how I got into VR. That was a while ago. I bought a DK2 headset.
Nice.
I think like a lot of us probably just the fad of VR as a novelty device. I mean, it wasn't novelty. Of course, they had everything in the 80s that just, I'm sure, was a sickening mess. But as DK2 hit the YouTube shelves, I really thought that was something I wanted to be part of. So I got a DK2 headset. I did a lot of experimentation with the just software development on that side. I was working as a software engineer before that, and that just kind of moved me into VR. I worked for a VR company up in Seattle for a while before I worked for Fun Labs.
Nice.
Awesome.
For me, I got into VR with the original Vive. The original Vive was my first headset. It was actually my roommate, who's our CEO now, Hamza. He bought a Vive VR, and basically, like, it was just like let's create something with it. I tried it. It was awesome. I had a great time. I think the first game I tried was, this is a really old one. Maybe you guys are familiar with it. Battle Dome. It's like a Spelunker type. Like, you're throwing paint and you can only move somewhere if you throw paint on it. Anyways, I played that. That sucked me in like immediately, and from there it was just like, all right, let's build something. We got to work. Started with like a couple different concepts, but Hamza originally went with table tennis. I mean, it just worked really well for VR, and it was something we were both really into at work, and so we had good experience there, and just kept on building from there, and we're here now.
It's an amazing thing. Like, you try VR for the first time, you're like, holy crap, I'm gonna make a game. Like, me, I was like, I tried VR for the first time, I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to be playing a lot of VR doing nothing else. I mean, but creative people that have drive to do things are like, I'm going to make something for this. So I think it's a cool thing that you like have those aspirations as soon as you try it for the first time. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, we got hooked like immediate. I think for us, it was almost immediate. Like, once you start feeling like, I think with like VR especially, like, there's small interactions in an experience that you play that really suck you in. For Battle Dome, it was just like the social aspect of it that was awesome. And then for there's a lot of bow games where you like actually feel like the haptic feedback on the bow. That's just like, wow, like, this is like instant like immersion. That type of stuff just really sucks you in. Just gets your creativity flowing.
For me, I'm was a little disappointed where VR went, because my first favorite thing was this demo at the time, which turned into a game later on, but it's called Windlands. And someone just made this demo for free, along with a lot of other demos people were making at that time. And I absolutely love that. I mean, it's the first thing I wanted to play. It was exactly what I wanted when I got in there. And I was just lucky that I don't get VR sickness. When I showed everyone else, they almost immediately threw up. They couldn't take it because you're essentially swinging around and stuff. So a lot of the experiences that I really wanted from VR don't really translate well to VR. You know, a lot of people want to explore little things around them, not move too much, and it makes sense because VR does make a lot of people nauseous. But it's one of the reasons I think 11 type game works really well in VR, is so successful, is because it is a very sort of competitive game that's all around you, right? Kind of like Beat Saber. It's everything's coming at you type thing, and it works really well.
Yeah, no movement, which is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can just stand at the table, right?
Yeah, that's like, I think that was one of the biggest things, right? Like the fact that you don't have to move around. Unlike Philip, I get really motion sick pretty easily. So the fact that I didn't get motion sickness in this experience is just like, okay, like this is something that, like, all right, VR can work,
I'm very much like you, Philip, where I want to be thrown around. Let me be Spider-Man. Let me swing through, right? Like Windlands was amazing, and Windlands 2 was even better. For me, you can't give me enough motion, but I do understand that the general public and just a lot of people just aren't like that, no matter how much they want to be. And 11 table tennis especially is amazing because, like you said, you're not moving the player. The player is moving around the table, and everyone knows table tennis. Right. And it feels exactly like table tennis. There is the translation there is just unbelievable. It just feels so good. The haptics in the controller when you hit the ball, the sound that it makes, so much so that I know quite a few people that have got so into it that they try to lean on the table
All the time. It happens kind of crazy. Or they set their controller down on the table.
Yeah.
Like they think it's going to sit on the table.
Yeah.
That's one of those. Like whenever that clip gets posted, it's one of my favorite things ever. Is a user like trying to place the controller onto the table itself, right? Because that's like, all right, we achieved our goal, right? They're immersed enough where they think the table's actually there. Win. So I love that video. I love that.
I'm not sure if I've shared this story yet on the podcast about my mom, and the first VR experience I got her into was 11 table tennis. Did I share that before?
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was the very first experience. I literally left her for like 5 minutes maybe, and I went to the other room briefly. I hear like the loudest thud, and she had tried to like lean on the table while trying to like hit one of the balls.
Oh no.
Herself pretty badly. Yeah, we had to get all the frozen peas from the freezer and like set her on the couch. So we needed to put her into a meditation app, but she did really like it.
Yeah. See, just keep her in the headset though. Don't get her out of the headset. Put her in Trip or something like that. There you go.
I did put her in Trip actually.
There you go. That's all. Trip is awesome. That's one of the best meditative apps.
Next time I need to put like an actual table in front of her so that when she tries to lean on it, it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's like where the table would go. I feel like that would help. That's it's a tough problem though. I feel like you definitely want to avoid that, but
yeah. I think the 11 table tennis is such a great game so early on. It was probably one of the best things that happened to VR because two things: the motion, like we talked about, motion sickness and people getting into VR for the first time, but two, it brought people together. There's so many stories. I have a huge Facebook group, and a lot of people were in the VR first time with that Facebook and talking and asking questions or putting in stories. And there was so many stories about. I played, tennis. I played 11 table tennis with my dad the other day. He lives across the country. I haven't seen each other in 5 years. Or, I play with my mom who lives in another country, and we were able to just sit in there and talk and play table tennis and like virtual hug each other. You know what I mean? It's the stories like that of bringing people together for virtual reality. I think it's one of the biggest things that is kind of like undersung. Like the game itself is fantastic, but bringing people together in that way, especially like family or friends that haven't seen each other in years, is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, the original game came out on Steam back in 2016, but we rebuilt it we had to like rebuild it. That was like almost like a 1.5 year process, and then released for Quest like right before the pandemic happened. And so like the timing was great from like a business, from like the business side of it, right? More people at home, but yeah, during that time, like the amount of messages that we got saying like, hey, I was able to like be social with like my friends and family, giving people an excuse to hang out, right? Like that's the whole thing, is like like, oh, just call your parents sounds great in theory, but it's like, unless there's something specific to talk about, like, are you really going to do it? But this gives you a reason to like, oh, let's socialize while playing ping pong, like gives you a reason to like actually meet up in VR and be social.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. And I'm pretty sure you know this too. I'm sure you've heard stories, but like in a lot of engineering companies, they always have ping pong tables, and it's always when you're kind of like burned out, you go play ping pong with each other and just like metaphorically and actually literally bounce ideas back and forth. So it's a really great game to make in VR for so many reasons.
Yeah, those water cooler moments, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the very first virtual reality titles to make it to the Olympics.
I think you're right. I think, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, the Olympics. The Olympics is a whole thing. We just got done with it maybe like a month or two back. So it hasn't really totally sunk in all the stuff that we did over there. But I think there was one other VR game in the Olympics. But yeah, it was us too, and it was a kick fighting game. It was a kick fighting game for. It was us. It was us and them. It was a dope experience, man. The Olympics was very cool.
That's amazing to make something that's so realistic and so lifelike that the Olympics would accept it, because there is almost no difference from the real version to the VR version. That's something I think you guys should be proud of, because I don't think a whole lot of places have been able to pull that off. So
yeah. We were super pumped about it. Honestly, like the opportunity, the people that we've met, all that we learned about like the broadcasting side of sports it was a really great learning experience. And then, like you mentioned, like all of the players that came for that were part of our event, like they're real life table tennis players. They've all been playing for 10 plus years. Like these guys are like really good at table tennis in real life. And the fact that you can see that skill in real life transfer over to VR it's always super exciting to see.
That's so cool.
There's a lot of professional players that use 11 to train, don't they, Oscar?
Yeah. I mean, do you mind? I'm just gonna lower the blinds real quick.
You guys both are having sun issues.
Unfortunately, I don't have blinds I can close. I was gonna say you guys caught us right at the exact time of day where the sun is just coming straight.
You have to be vampires like us. I have my VR basement that I close. I have like blackout shades in because I need to be in total black when I'm in
that's
VR.
Awesome.
I've been meaning to get a plant to just stick up that window there.
You have one spot, huh? Like I see.
It's one spot, and it's only like a 15-30 minute time period where it'll just hit right where I sit in front of my computer. So it's
yeah, you're glowing, Philip.
I just disappeared, right? You know where I went. Taking up to heaven.
So guys, tell us a little bit about, because we're kind of here to talk about Bounce Shot. Bounce Shot's it's a new game that you guys launched just recently. The follow up to kind of, it's not 11 table tennis, but is it the next game from you guys or was there a game in between?
No, that's it.
Yeah, so this was the next game that you guys came up with, Bounce Shot, and tell us a little bit of what is Bounce Shot. Tell us a little bit about it, and tell us where can people go get the game and how much.
Sure. So I'm one of the developers who worked on Bounce Shot. And I think the motivation for Bounce Shot is kind of like what we were talking about just recently with our conversation about getting people together in the same space, especially getting a lot of people together in the same space and giving them something that's interesting to do in that space, but also really focusing on the social aspect of just getting people together and having fun. 11 is very competitive. And you can definitely meet some people across the table, but so far, it doesn't have a group meeting spot. And, so that was kind of the motivation. I think beer pong was one of the most popular mini game modes in 11. And so that was sort of the focus is, take what people want to do and really focus on it as a core for a game that's a social driven experience. So.
Yeah. Just to add a little bit to that, I think with 11, it's very strict, right? Like our goal with 11 is really like one-to-one with reality. So like fully immersive experience. We want this to be real life table tennis. So as far as like the fun stuff that we can maybe throw in there, we're definitely limited there, just because first, like, performance is number one. So anything fun that you add in there might hurt performance. And then number two is like, we want to keep it as table tennis. We don't want to throw in like fun gaggy type stuff. And Bounce Shot really lets us experiment with like different types of interactions that could be possible in VR. I think it's always going to be like a work in it's going to be a work in progress, similar to how we did it with 11, where we released first version and then we just continue to upgrade it, update it based off of user feedback. I think that's the goal with Bounce Shot. Get some fun stuff, different interactions.
I can't really comment on this too much because they've given me a gag order. We do have some interesting stuff coming up, so.
Nice. We like a roadmap. Go ahead, tell us. Nobody's watching. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, everyone. Plug your ears.
Can I make a wish for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this would be the perfect game for hand tracking. Right?
Yeah.
It's funny how much that's a feedback item for us, and we definitely internally are investigating that. So it's something that is definitely higher on our priority list to investigate. There's still a lot of technical challenges with that, specifically with how well hand tracking actually tracks to throw. I think one of the things about For Fun Labs in general, starting with 11, is that the simulation aspect of the games is really on point. So 11, like you guys were talking about, is very sort of true to life ping pong. The experience of going into play ping pong it feels very much like you're playing real ping pong. Now, while beer pong is definitely, much is a casual game with a lot of possibilities, and it's a much more simple experience. We did focus a lot on making sure that the throwing and the ball interaction with the cups and all that stuff was very sort of true to life. There's a lot of games that I've worked on in the past where if you throw, there's a way to do it where you sort of just average all these frames. And the way that VR tracks stuff, that actually introduces a lot of error, and you can easily be like throwing a shot consistently with the same physical movement, and it doesn't go in the same spot. And it's just the way that VR, with the IMU internal controller sensors and the camera tracking on the headset, when it combines that, there's some errors and stuff. So we spent a good amount of time making sure that all felt correct, and we were working through those problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that, like, when I get in there, took me back the most to 11 is the physics of it. Like, it's so well done that you really feel like you're playing beer pong with it. I mean, it gives you that feeling. I mean, and it makes sense with some of the things you probably brought over from 11. But I think it has to be right. Like, if it gets off even a little bit, you kind of lose it when you're doing a game like this. It almost has to be perfect, and I think you nailed it. I mean, it works so well that you guys just had a tournament this past weekend that was extremely popular that people competed in. And like, I talked to several people. I talked to somebody, Alex VR came in third in this tournament. I talked to him, and he was so like jazzed up about, even coming in third, that there was some really good people that are really good at this game. And you can't be good at something that's not perfect. Like you have, if you're going to have somebody have skill level, that means the physics of the engine have to be perfect.
100%. You need some type of skill expression, right? Because if everyone is equally good at something, like how do you differentiate between people, right? It's not it stops being a sport, right?
Right.
Yeah, some of the interesting things that I've seen while in there are people trying to do really funny trick shots. I've seen people trying to hit like the ceiling into a cup, trying to bounce it off of a pillar into the cup, going really far to the opposite side of the room, and like trying to throw that into a cup. Like the physics in this are on point. They're so good. It's really entertaining to see like all the different people are so creative. And I've also seen people trying to play volleyball with it, throwing the ball up in the air and like smacking it to try to get it in there. Really, it was pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining.
That's awesome.
That's what 11 was known for, right? Was the physics. So I mean, it only makes sense that you would take something like this and convert it over. And there's like beer pong little mini games and a whole bunch of different things like VR Chat and EOS and all these things. But man, you do not feel like you're on planet Earth playing these things. You know, it never ever feels right. But that's one, you know, you guys absolutely came in and you nailed it with this. It feels like you're throwing a ball. And like it's you know, we've been here for a while, right? We've all been alive for a while. We know exactly how that ball should act when it hits the table and when it bounces and when you throw it a certain way. So it's awesome that you guys were able to really nail it because it feels really good.
That's awesome.
One of the really cool things that I've seen too, like obviously what you all are known for is the bounce shot and people being able to like smack that out of the way. That's been part of like my favorite thing. I'm like, get that ball out of here. You're not making it to next up. That's definitely something you can't do in all these other little experiences. So really the experience here is so refined.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's still plenty to come, right? I think there's plenty that we can do with it, but the foundation is there. Everything acts the way that it's expected to in real life. And I feel like that's just it's such an important part of, I don't want to say every VR game, because obviously there's VR games out there that don't have to apply to the same rules of real life physics. But I think for the stuff that we like to go for, of like full immersion, like making the user feel like he's no longer wherever they are, that's like what we love to work on.
Nice. I love the environment in there too. So like, if anybody hasn't been in yet, like you're kind of like in an arcade, right, guys? You look like you're in like an arcade where you have like, you know, different arcade cabinets and like, you know, like a skee ball machine, or not a skee ball. Yeah, is there a skee ball? I know there's like an air hockey table. There's a basketball hoops. But I mean, you feel like you're in like an old arcade game or a game room, and you're just like having fun in there with other people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually based off feedback, internal feedback. Originally, we weren't really planning; those were just kind of backdrops we got from developing them, and none of that was interactive. And so many people went up to those things and was like, "Oh, try to interact with those things." That we were like, "Okay, we definitely have to turn these into interactive pieces," and that's something that we want to continue doing. Obviously, it's a lower priority than other things, like other things you could do on the table. So yeah, we'll get to it, but we definitely have a lot of people interacting with the environment. Environment interaction is definitely something we want to, we focused on and made sure that it was kind of good. There is some room for improvement for sure in those aspects. Like, obviously the Space Invaders game could have some scores and stuff. So yeah, a little fun things we can go through and touch up for sure.
Yeah, it's cool that you're thinking about doing those things, though, right? Like, you know, I think somebody in chat, Mr. Tassoff in chat, said it would be cool if you could just play all the arcade games that are in there, and that'll be cool. And I'm sure that's something you guys are looking into. But to me, it's the social aspect of the room too. It's like, you know, you can you can have spectators, you can have, you know, several people in there watching two people play, or you can have multiple people playing at the same time. So, how many people can you get into like one instance?
4 to 8, depending on the room. And our goal is to get it up to 8 for every single room.
Nice.
That's a good group of people, though. That's cool, man. If you get 8 people, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we would like to go as high as we can. It's actually just performance bound.
Mm-hmm.
So you start throwing more people in there. We actually do a trick where if you notice, there's background avatars, sort of characters in the space, it will be removed as more people come in. So it sort of replaces those background characters with the real characters as they come in and fill up the room. It was also kind of a thing where you get in and there's so many people in there, you actually can't distinguish who's. You start talking to the guy who's just crossing his arms in the corner or something, thinking it's a real person. But yeah, it gets a little confusing. We have 12 players in it.
Can you guys tell us which headsets that this is available on?
Philip?
Quest 2 and Pico.
Nice.
Or just Quest and Pico in general.
That's cool. Is it coming anywhere else?
I'm not sure if I can talk about that.
You can. Everything's okay. Everything's on the table here.
I think for us, it's more about placing timelines and then having people just like, it's supposed to be out like a month ago.
Philip, you got to do the company answer. we would absolutely love to be able to get all this game on every headset,
Right.
and that's
Yes.
something that we'll look at in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
When-
being on these different headsets, right? Like I have a lot of different headsets, and I use a lot of them. One thing that is always different between all of these headsets is throwing things.
Yeah. Yes.
So
That's-
like what are some of the challenges you guys face when like you go into a new headset, you went from Quest, maybe then you started developing a Pico build or vice versa, or I'm not sure what order you went in, but are there a lot of challenges that you have to face when trying to get it to feel right on each headset?
I mean, Phil,
yes.
did you-
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go for it.
Yeah, so it's, mainly focused on Quest and Pico. That certainly helps that we don't have to focus on everything on the planet. We do have a lot of internal headsets that we test on that are like PC VR headsets. But we, so that testing all those has definitely helped. One of the reasons you probably, see that from other games is kind of what I was talking about earlier, is these, especially if you go to like the Vive Index or, Steam VR systems, they have lighthouse tracking systems that refresh at a certain hertz rate, that travels, it's a totally different way of doing the absolute tracking cameras. So there's this sort of refresh rate to all of that. And the Quest 2 has its own refresh rate for how it's, it's feeding back like your controller's exactly at this position. And in between those frames, the internal sensors of the controller are kind of filling out the in-between frames. So you might actually get like a 50 hertz refresh rate on the absolute tracking, and in between that, the IMU is just telling you, whatever. And the way that it snaps back into place is usually how a lot of games, when you're throwing, is where they get the errors, because that snapback is the thing that causes the problem in the throw. And so when you have like the Valve Index or something that has 100 hertz refresh rate on that absolute tracking versus the Quest 2, which would have something like 50, there's a big difference in the feel because there's a bigger error when it snaps. So yeah, we're actually avoiding a lot of that in general, and so that helps us. That helps us in general translate to other headsets without having a really big significant difference in the feel of the throw. So that's definitely nice. That's actually based off a Reddit post that we found a while ago. There was a technical developer, talking about the nitty gritties of exactly how these tracking systems work and the solution to solve that for throwing, or just in general, like anytime you need to track velocity in a very distinct way. So you guys, if at this point I can't remember what the Reddit post is off the top of my head, but I'm sure a dedicated person can go find the reference to that post and how it works. So
I think this is an amazing, thing to talk about, which is the things that you have to go through as a developer to make the game work, and those are the things that you have to think about, like, or the hurdles that you come up to, like, it's everybody wants to have the a game on every headset, but I mean those are the things you have to think about, like, does it work on this headset? Does it make sense? Are we still developing for the Quest 1, which is kind of outdated hardware now? How hard is that to make sure can we make it work on the Quest 1 and the Quest 2 at the same time equally? Do we have crossplay between platforms? There's a million things that you have to think about as a developer when you're trying to make these things, and then every one of them breaks something else usually, right? When you try and make something work.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get headset updates that come out of nowhere that sometimes break some of your code, and then you have to update that one. Yeah, I mean, the cross-platform, I do think it's in a lot better state now than it was when we first came out. Supporting cross-platform very early on was almost impossible. Like, it was very challenging. But yeah, I do think it's improved a little bit. There's a lot more like good cross-platform tooling out there to be able to support multiple headsets. But it's definitely, I think right now in VR is like probably one of the tougher challenges of making sure that not only that like you can support headsets, but you have to continuously support them, right? So every new feature you're going to have to be testing on like, I mean, we're on, for 11 at least, we're on like 5 different platforms, and like, I mean, like we've had like 100 different, I don't even know how many headsets, but like at least 20 to 30, all those Windows MR headsets. So like supporting all of those definitely challenging. We have a lot of infrastructure at this point where like now we like, okay, we want to add a new platform. Like this is what you got to do. These are the classes you got to implement. So it's a little bit of an easier flow now, but definitely tough. And a big decision I think a lot of studios need to make early on is how many platforms you want to be able to support. Because if it's not baked into like the initial code structure, like you're gonna have a really tough time about it later on.
Yeah, it's super wild.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. Like I've definitely talked to some developers who've released a game on a specific headset and then find out that like some of the buttons aren't working and all that stuff, and turns out they don't even have that headset to test on. And so
Yeah.
they're hoping that maybe it would work properly. But yeah, so I was wondering, do you just have like 30 different headsets on your desk and you're just like,
yeah, I mean, I have yeah, for the most part now I've been developing with like Quest headsets, so I'll have my Quest headset on my desk, but I have like I don't even know how many headsets in storage that are there, and like it's tough, right? Like you're not going to be able to test for every headset in like an efficient manner. Now we have QA team though, and he's got all the headsets and he can test it all out for us, so that helps. Right. Stuff.
So,
Love you, JP. If you listen to this.
So obviously, Boundshot isn't your first game. 11 is your first one. So how difficult was the launching Boundshot? Like anything that you've learned from your first launch to this one that you were able to implement and make this, maybe easier, better?
So Boundshot was an interesting development cycle. Originally, we started with taking a lot of the 11 code and trying to make it work for Boundshot. A couple of the challenges there, especially at the time, 11 was very much focused on one person across the table, and a lot of the code was structured around that. So we ended up restarting from scratch, based around the concept of getting a lot of people in the rooms, and structuring a lot of the core code around that concept. We did end up, taking a lot of the ball physics code and adapting it to the new code base and stuff like that. So we definitely copied in some stuff from 11, but a lot of it is from scratch or like from the ground up. So yeah, in this particular instance, it's there wasn't a ton of crossover. I think that'll apply more to pickleball. So
yeah, I think that's kind of amazing because everybody, I guarantee, because I know I did, everybody assumed that you probably took the exact code or the engine that you would use for 11 table tennis because it seems like it would cross over. So I find it amazing that you guys quickly early on figured that you had to start building it from scratch.
Yeah, and that was more to do with the player structure than anything. The player and room structure, the way that code was structured. And 11 has a decent code base at this point because it's it's been around for a while. It's been worked on for a while. So yeah, we just felt sort of starting from scratch on a clean base where we could really focus on making the social aspect of getting people in a room together playing was sort of a cleaner approach to this game because of its focus.
So people in our chat just picked up on you said pickleball.
I did say pickleball, and I know I'm not overstepping my bounds there because we talked a lot about pickleball in the previous podcast. There is a website for pickleball. You guys can go check it out. I think it's called Pickleball Pro, maybe pickleballpro.com.
So pickleball it's a funny phenomenon right now. Like it's extremely popular. It's, to me, I still think it's like an older person's game, but you see a lot more younger people playing it now though too. Like originally, I think when it kind of started out, it seemed like it was like an older person's way to play tennis. We're not using the full tennis court, but literally now I see it like everywhere. I see videos on it, like on Reels and TikToks of younger people playing it or doing little things in it that seem pretty cool. So yeah, pickleball. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, I think pickleball it's a great intro into racket sports because I think a lot of racket sports, one of the tough parts about it is that it's a difficult game to pick up. Like even something like table tennis, like it's really challenging. Like if you've never played table tennis before and you start playing table tennis, it's gonna take X amount. I mean, 30 minutes to an hour to like even start getting a rally across, and you're actually playing back and forth. The great thing about pickleball is that I feel like designed to be easy to pick up and get you moving. So that's why we felt like pickleball is such a great sport for to focus in on. Even before, I feel like we started talking about pickleball even before it really started picking up steam and just the general population in the U.S. because our CEO is a big fan of the sport. So yeah, we're really excited for it. We think it's a great intro to racket sports. We think it's fun. It gets you moving. Yeah, pickleball is a fun project for sure.
The smaller court probably helps a lot too. The fact that you don't have to book it across a full tennis court to try to hit the ball.
Well, that's one of the things that nobody's gotten right in my eyes so far with tennis games and VR is the movement, right? Like you can get the if you're good, you can get the hitting of the ball with the racket, but how do you move from the ball to the ball? Well, you can't move in your play space. So to me, I think pickleball makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I mean, smaller space. Philip got it. Like the fact that you don't have to. I mean, we iterated on tennis games before, and it was just like how big the court is. Like you have to do some like auto movement, and that made me sick, and that made other people sick. So like the fact that the pickleball court is smaller, definitely adds to the experience. Makes it better for PR.
Also, it is weird that pickleball is just such a fad. I have a tennis court that's right by the park I walk my dog by all the time. And that has just been empty pretty much the entire time I lived here. And then one day, for some reason, there's like 3 different teams of pickleball players out there every other weekend. It's bizarre. So, younger people too. So,
We stayed at the Airbnb in Fresno, California, Skiva and I, and we got there, and literally the entire backyard was a full-blown pickleball court with fences around and everything. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild how quick pickleball courts are popping up all over. Like old office spaces in New York is being converted into pickleball courts. Like it's getting crazy.
Crazy. That is so crazy. It's probably going to be the next Olympic sport that y'all have.
VR pickleball is the next Olympic sport. I like it.
I love it.
Yeah, now we have people asking, what about volleyball? It seems like you all have the perfect company, the perfect team to make all the simulation games that are super realistic.
Yeah, volleyball is a cool one. I wonder, I think the cool thing about racket sports is you do get that haptic feedback from the controller. And that's like in my opinion, like in VR, like there's a couple mechanics that really get you, and like the fact that you can feel in table tennis it's perfect because the ball weighs very little. You hit it, it feels like it would in real life. In volleyball, I wonder the fact that like you don't feel it on your hands, would it be a little like would it take away from the immersion? I don't know. It'd be an interesting one though. I like that.
You might need a little bracelet that shocks your wrist.
Yeah, something like that. Some gloves, maybe one day.
I was thinking about the accuracy of the hit. Like one of the things I really like about 11 or any sort of like my favorite game, Beat Saber, is you have to be very precise with your hits. And so 11 or any sort of paddle game, you just tilt your wrist a little bit and it sends the ball completely different angles. Whereas volleyball, I'm not sure exactly how it'd work, necessarily. You'd either completely you'd just touch it one way you thought would work, but it just rolls off your hand to the side, or it's just so the game is holding your hand, to get it across the net so much that it's not really a competitive sport or something. So
we need more controllers, more different types of controllers,
Yeah, and I feel like that's going to be the game where everyone's just throwing their controllers at the ceiling, trying to punt it up.
Yeah, I think it would be the new Richie's Plank experience, right? Where people would just be running.
Oh my God.
Jumping through their TV to try to get to the ball.
Yeah, right. Diving to try to save the shot.
Exactly. Probably not the best idea, to be honest with you.
Probably not quite there yet, almost.
What a great shout out, Richie's Plank experience. I love that game.
We got a chance to meet Richie, Steve and I in Gamescom, man. It was so cool.
Cool.
Like literally, he came into the room and Steve was, oh my God, that's Richie from Richie's Plank. And then Richie came over and said, Oh my gosh, Skiva, I'm such a big fan of you.
That's awesome.
Skiva was like, oh my god, that's Richie.
I mean, I feel like Richie got like the dream project, which is just like a bunch of demos of fun interactions in VR and just see how people react to it. Because like every floor has like a different experience. Like that is so much. That as a developer, like that must have been so much fun to work on. Just like, what is resonating with my audience? Does this work? No. Does this work? No. That must have been like a fun project.
Fun fact: this Friday, you can join the Between Realities VR podcast, and Richie is our guest. So,
oh, sick!
There you go. Yeah, you can learn all about Richie's playing experience and the new stuff, Max Mustard and Santa Simulator and all that stuff. So yeah, tune on in, people.
For sure.
You'll hear Skiva and Richie be like, "Oh my gosh, Skiva! Oh my gosh, Richie!"
It's gonna be a love fest.
No, how cool is that though, right? Like it's fun. I feel like Richie's playing experience is one of the few games that even if you don't know what VR is, you've probably seen a YouTube video or something, right? With someone walking on a plank or a board, and people are like, "What is happening in there?" You know, but you have like
early on, like whenever I mentioned VR, is like that's what they use as like a frame of reference. Like, oh yeah, I saw the plank walking one. Like, is your game like that? It's like, no, it's it's different.
It's different.
All right. So I know that you said you can't talk about a lot of stuff, but what can you tell us about what's coming up for Bound Shot?
Yeah, so I mean, we just kind of discussed how paddle sports and stuff has a lot of depth to the interaction of the ball. I feel like you get a lot of gameplay replayability over the fact that you are essentially perfecting, how you hit the ball. You can become very competitive with that. Bound Shot, there's definitely some of that, getting better at throwing, making sure that you can really sink those shots, makes that competitive. But we're really leaning into the aspect of doing more things on the table. I can't really say too much, but we're definitely exploring that. We have a lot of more stuff that you might not think, is not necessarily beer pong, that you can do on the table with cups and people across the table. So a lot of fun party game modes that we have in development. So
Flip Cup.
Ooh, there you go. Flip Cup.
Flip Cup's a good one.
Yep. Flip Cup is one of them we've talked about. One of the people who works on Bound Shot, that's something that she played in college. She didn't actually play beer pong too much, but she played Flip Cup. There's a lot of other things, other little game modes that are actually kind of interesting experiences. Someone in the company just posted one on a video, which we found was really kind of interesting. It's this game where you essentially have like an egg carton across the table, and you bounce. Everyone has different colored balls, and you bounce them across the table, and they land in parts of the egg carton, and it's essentially Connect Four. Right, like it's Connect Four, but you have to bounce the ball across the table. We thought that was really clever. That's not something we're actively working on, so but we thought that was really clever kind of thing that you could do as a tabletop sport. So yeah, those kinds of concepts are stuff we're working on.
Okay, and then if someone doesn't make any shots in a whole game, do they have to sit under the table throughout the game?
Is that a thing, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I wouldn't know personally, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, right. That's hilarious.
No, we didn't want to add Elo. We did some initial probing to see how much people would want to have a competitive sort of beer pong experience, and it didn't get a lot of positive feedback. No one really wants to be like, there's some people who really want to be on the top of the leaderboards for beer pong, but we really wanted to encourage, getting into a room, having fun in that room, and then when you leave it, it's not like you set a score on a scoreboard. At least we're not to that point yet. What we have thought of in ways, we thought of a lot of little fun ways to potentially sort of capture that who's the best in this room. One of those, we want to kind of lean into the fun aspect. So like, imagine you're in a room with 4 other people and one person is just killing it. So he gets this crown on top of his head, type thing. And you really want to steal that crown from him. So whoever's, the king of the room, they try to work for that crown, try to challenge that guy to get his crown, and maybe the person who's the worst wears a dunce hat or something like that. So
I'm never joining a room.
Jazz.
What happens if I just don't play in any games and I just spectate the whole time? I don't get any hat, right?
No hat.
Yeah, it's completely encouraged. Yeah, it was definitely a social experience. So yeah, if you just want to hang out, that's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool that y'all are coming up with a bunch of other party stuff to do in there.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Everybody go check out Bomb Shot. It's a lot of fun. Bring your friends in there and get in there and have a little competition. They just had a great tournament this past weekend. I assume you guys will probably try and do some more of these things because it was so popular. But get your own people in there and do your own tournament. I mean, I encourage anybody, if you have friends, again, this is just like 11, get in here and get in here and just, play beer pong, with your friends. And it's a lot of fun and you'll laugh your asses off and you'll have a good time. And, you can compete and have fun. So, and again, I love the room too. The room itself is so cool just to kind of go around and see the different things. It's a cool environment. So kudos for you guys for making an awesome game. And we appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And if you don't have friends, there's also bots in there, AI, and you can just join random open rooms. It's exactly how you feel if you walk into a party where you don't know anybody.
That sounds so sad. Just ping Jasmine. If you don't have any friends, just ping Jasmine. She'll come and play with you.
Why me? Why are you volunteering me?
Jasmine will even supply the 30-pack of beer.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. You're so nice. Wow.
This isn't beer pong, Skiba. It's cup pong.
That is true.
Yeah. No, I'm bringing apple juice.
Apple juice.
Right.
I love, you know what? You guys should partner up with Solo Cup. And that's what you need to do. Do some kind of partnership with Red Solo Cup and it'd be perfect.
That'd be fit. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for coming in tonight. We really appreciate it. And, hopefully down the road, you guys can come back in when pickleball comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Have a great night, guys. Take it
Good
easy.
meeting y'all.
Oh, guys, too much fun. That was a really good one, man. I love hearing the backstories behind 11 and what they had to do to figure out how to make Bounce Shot work.
I definitely think we need more parties in VR. So I think it's definitely something that people like to do, right? You just want to relax after work, party with some friends.
Yeah, I mean, casual games are cool. I mean, we all like our shooters. Well, Jasmine doesn't like her shooters, but I like my shooter. I like to go in and be like, have it to be super stressful, intense situations. But there are times like when I just want to do walkabout mini golf, right? Or go do 11 table tennis, or go and do Bounce Shot, or just go in and hang out with people and talk. I mean, I've had some of the best conversations of my life with people in virtual reality. Skiba, I know you have. I mean, you go into all kinds of different worlds, and just hang out with people in Neos or in VR chat or whatever.
Yeah, one of the best parts about virtual reality for me is the social aspect. It's about sharing space with somebody, connecting with people, and just hanging out. Sometimes it's hard to hang out with people that don't live very close to you, or maybe pandemics happen, all this stuff, right? So it's good to just be able to pop on a headset. You're there with a friend, with multiple friends, and making that connection. I think it's awesome.
I have to say something that's really funny that I just saw recently. It was like a TikTok of someone who was like, does anybody else miss the pandemic? Sometimes I just sit in my car and put on my mask and just dream about the days where I could just not have to go into the office and binge watch stuff. And then people would say, oh, do you I just didn't have to do any responsibilities, get my they were like, what do you miss the most about it? And I was just like, you guys are crazy.
Oh my God.
That is so funny.
Yeah, who doesn't miss the pandemic? I mean, really,
right? I mean, geez.
Lots of people dying. It was wonderful. Oh, geez, that was a lot of fun to have them on. We've had some really good people in here so far. I mean, this is only our third episode, but we've really had some. We had Steve from Alvo in, and that was a fantastic story. And then talking to Oscar and Philip there about Bounce Shot, I thought was super cool. It was super cool. So. We're going to keep it going, I think, with some more people. We're going to have, some more cooler people in the industry come in and talk to us from time to time, too. So,
yeah, I can't wait. I was looking forward to chatting it up with with the people who make the things that I love. I mean, what an awesome thing, right? We literally just get to have video calls with the people who make the things that we love. So, and share it with everybody in the community. And it's awesome. So thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Guys, we want to talk a little bit about industry stuff that's going on before we take off. You want to talk a little bit about Gamescom, Skiva, or about anything that particularly that you saw or that you guys are looking forward to?
Heck yeah.
Is there a new headset coming or something? Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot of buzz going on Twitter right now about a Nintendo headset.
Yeah, I mean, holy crap, dude. I mean,
And
I don't
Steve
know.
is definitely like just like sharing all the stuff that he sees.
He's fueling the fire big time.
He's like, there's
Hey,
some
you
buzz
know.
going around, and yeah, it's actually right on my Twitter account.
I gotta tell you, it's a hard thing not to want to share because my dream since VR has been Nintendo in VR. Like has been playing, Super Mario Kart and like all of these amazing. I'm a Nintendo fanboy, right? So if someone sneezes and it sounds like Nintendo VR, I'm on it. I'm on it. So
Could you imagine what Nintendo would mean for VR? I mean, like we talk all the time about Sony, with Sony and VR, we need Sony for VR. We need Xbox or something like that. Could you imagine what Nintendo would mean for virtual reality if they came out like
I would cry.
yeah, I mean the Apple VR headset, like right, we were all over that. Like that legitimizes, the Apple making an AR VR headset legitimizes virtual reality, right? Because it's a huge company like Apple. But the gaming side of it, I mean, Nintendo makes games. That's what they're all about, right? They're not even in love with hardware. They're in love with games. They're in love with hardware only to be able to play their freaking games on, right?
Yep, totally.
So
And they,
what that would
like-
mean for gaming and VR gaming would be crazy.
Okay, so some people don't know what we're talking about. Basically, there's some rumors that Nintendo is gonna come out with their own headset. There's a fan that made a really beautiful like fan art of what that headset could look like. It looks really cool. And yeah, there's just some buzz. Can you guys imagine what a crazy 2023 it would be if there was actually like I don't even know if I could like contain what that would mean that we had like Apple finally come out and then PSVR 2 and then Brixie and Beyond and everybody and their moms. And if Nintendo came out, I would cry. I would cry.
I'll tell you that I feel like it's just inevitable. It might not be this year. It might not be next year. It might not be the year after. But eventually, if you want to make good games, I think VR is where you're going to have to be. I flew out to California and hung out with Tribe Grey Wolf, and we took a drive down to try the official Mario Kart VR. And oh
man,
oh my god,
want to do that?
It is
It's so good.
Did you do it too, Jazz?
I did it in Tokyo.
Oh, damn.
sick, nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Dude,
actually,
she just dropped Tokyo
Yeah,
Mario
she
Kart on your ass.
did.
You were like, yeah, I
She's
tried
heard
it.
my
I was in
story.
California and tried Mario, and she's like, I did it in Tokyo, bro.
Tokyo.
And that VR spot that I went to back in like I don't even remember when is closed down now. It closed down during the pandemic. Sad. But I need to find that video of my sisters and I playing. Okay, you have to just imagine this. Okay, so Tokyo is a very like polite, quiet, respectable people that keeps to themselves. And my sisters and I were in that VR space. And we're literally just like we're so loud. I know I don't seem loud, but around my sisters, we just yell. I think that we just yelled over each other throughout our childhood, and like you could hear our voices throughout the entire place, and like it was crazy. And then we also did this like horror experience. No, just no. Literally the entire time, my sisters and I were yelling at each other. But yeah, Nintendo getting into VR would be crazy.
It would be.
It would be, and like I don't know. There's a lot of whispers and things going on right now, and a lot of it's probably just hyperbole of people, starting things. But I mean, Skiva, we heard some things.
We did hear things.
We
heard things. We heard things. But here's the thing.
We heard things. But here's the thing.
Here's the thing. All companies experiment with things. They have to be on the cutting edge, and they have to be ready for markets to shift. They have to be ready to pivot. So even if there's things you don't know, you know what I mean? These things can be scrapped. They can move forward. It's just really, really hard to tell because at the end of the day, it's a bunch of suits looking at numbers. You know what I mean? And if they don't think it's going to be what it needs to be, then they might throw it all in the trash. So I will be forever hopeful that someday at home I will have a legitimate version of Mario Kart VR, or I will be able to play some first person or even third person Mario platformer, or swing, the sword,
Zelda,
as Link.
Zelda VR,
dude. I know
that would light the
I mean,
world on fire. If
it
like
would.
if they
And
made
not
Legend,
the Labo versions of
yeah,
any
no,
of this.
no, we're talking about like a real
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
holy crap! Could you imagine?
I
I
want
mean,
to.
Animal Crossing
I want
in
to
VR.
believe.
Real deal Animal Crossing.
Finally, I was just like this whole time. I keep thinking about my Switch and how much I love it, and all the cozy games that they can freaking bring, like Animal Crossing,
No,
Dream.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about all the cozy games, Jazz. Me
I'm
too.
so this would actually be so impactful to me and my life.
It would be huge. It would be huge. It would just it would send shockwaves throughout the industry, and it would.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like again, to me, Nintendo is not a hardware company; they're a gaming company. But
Mhm.
I mean, if they could, this would seriously put. This would. If I was Meta, I'd be nervous. If I was in Sony, I would be nervous.
Mhm.
If this is a real deal thing, and we actually see something like this coming, I mean, wow, it would
Yep.
change everything.
It's very, very possible. It is very possible. So
Maybe we should all just keep like retweeting all this like rumor stuff, and eventually, if there's enough, like maybe if you can get it trending, Nintendo will be like, "Well, shoot, maybe we should have to do this."
That's it. You heard it here, folks. Nintendo VR coming, guaranteed.
and
Oh,
when
man.
it does, and when someday that Nintendo VR headset releases, me and Mash will tell you a story.
We will. We have
Nothing-
we have a
things we
story
heard.
from Gamescom. I mean, I don't know. Blew our minds at Gamescom.
Yep.
But,
Yeah, for real.
Gamescom was
Gamescom.
fun, man. It was fun. We had a lot of fun there. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of running around, but it was cool to see of the amount of VR people that were there that are all the people that are in our industry that are there for passion for virtual reality games, and to see them all there working their asses off trying to push it forward. And then when they do get a chance to all get together and have a few beers together, it's just like one of the coolest things ever. I mean,
Man, no one
rival
parties like VR
companies
people do. I'm telling you.
yeah, rival VR companies just getting together and but having a
Yeah.
beer and then talking about
Yeah.
with this and helping each other with that, and going through things, and it's amazing.
It really is. You're not going to go somewhere and see some of the big flat gaming studios hanging out together, laughing, genuinely having a good time. We're in the golden years right now, and competition is, I guess, a thing, but everyone just wants the best for everybody, because the person who comes out and really hits that home run, it's just good for everybody. So everyone is very supportive, very friendly, very nice, and we just have the best times hanging out with all the VR devs, and just running around and trying everyone's games and seeing everyone at DevCom. And man, if you've never been to DevCom, it is just a sight to see. You end up in these massive expo halls, and it's like one of 11. There's like 11 of these expo halls all attached to each other. And man, if you have appointments and you got to go from like Expo Hall 1 to like Expo Hall 11, and you only have a little bit of time, man, I hope you got a lot of caffeine.
And these aren't like tiny expo halls either. They're like
They're all
airplane.
massive.
They're like double, like two huge airplane hangar size halls.
Very, very big, and it's a good time. And it's VR is kind of sprinkled throughout everything. It'd be really, really cool to see one hall that was dedicated all to VR. But I think we've talked, and I would love that from a selfish standpoint, because then I wouldn't have to leave that area. I could just go in there. I could walk from vendor to vendor and see all of the different VR stuff that it has to offer. But in reality, we need all of the people that are into flat games and they're there for flat games to wander by one of these experiences and go, oh, that looks cool, I want to try that, and then hop in the headset and have their mind blown. And then that might not happen if they put everything together. But it was a great experience. I really, really enjoyed it. And Germany is a beautiful country. Cologne was amazing. Everyone is very friendly. There's no speed limit,
except the Uber drivers.
And yeah, my I don't think my butt has puckered that much in a car in a very, very long time. I was like, why are all the Uber drivers going 300 miles an hour? Oh, there's literally no speed limit.
That's so crazy.
It's insane. I'm like, I don't know how they're doing this. I'm like, how is nobody dying? They're like, yeah, you would just figured there'd be dead people everywhere, but I don't know. They get through with it. I don't know. But it was cool. And Jazz, we have another big thing coming up into the month. We have Meta Connect coming up that I think everybody's pretty darn excited for, and I want to just touch on that just a little quick. What do you think, Meta Connect? We will have representation there for Impact Reality. You're going to be heading there as an Oculus ambassador, a Meta ambassador, and I'm going to be heading there as well. And what do we think? What are we going to see, the headset or what?
I just have to say that I was getting like, I'm like, listening to you guys talk about Gamescom gives me so much FOMO. I'm so tired of hearing you get it. You had so much fun.
I'm sorry. Next time it was terrible. It was terrible. The German
horrible.
food wasn't any good. I spilled drinks all over Skiva one night.
Yes, so Mash spilled three
full
pints of beer onto my lap. Not one bit hit the floor. It all went into my pants. Yeah.
It was like at the beginning of the night too.
And this isn't somewhere I could just go get other clothes. First of all, that was like right at the end of Gamescom, and I was out of clean laundry. I was out. And what was I going to do? Hop in an Uber, completely soaking wet. So you know what I did? I just had to suck it up. And every person that I met, I just said, "Hey, I'm Skiva." I pissed myself.
Oh man, it was funny.
I think Eric did that on purpose, to be honest.
Probably,
maybe a little bit.
Probably.
He just wants to see you squirm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You should have been drinking your beer faster. It would have been so full.
My beer was
it was everybody's.
Fresh rounds come to the table. And Mash is like, "It's all for you, Skiva. Here you
go." Yep. It was funny. It was good. I still apologize for that, but Jazz, it wasn't that much fun, but I think Meta Connect will be fun. I'm looking forward to what we can do out there. I know there's, you can't probably talk about a lot of things that we'll be seeing out there, but I'm looking forward to it. We haven't done a Connect in person in a long time. This is not the full Connect because it's very limited on who can go. But I think it's good for the industry that it's at least being held in person now.
I've never been to Connect ever, so I don't even know what to expect at all. This is going to be a first for me, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to go. I'm excited to see some of the talks that we'll see there. They are bringing a lot of developers in to do some certain talks. It sounds like most of them will be kind of like streamed, I hope anyway, because it's going to be interesting to hear some of these things. And some of our cool people that will be on there. Scott Albright from Combat Waffle Studios will be doing a talk out there, and a few other people from some other games that we'll see. With some of our friends from Beyond Frames are going to be on a panel doing a talk. So it'll be an interesting and fun environment. And then we'll bring some news back to you guys, hopefully.
Well, now you've done it. You've gone and mentioned Combat Waffle Studios, and I got to tell you that I shouldn't have done it. Sorry, I have to tear this conversation apart for a minute. I just got to tell you that Ghost of Tabor dropped an update that is so good and it's so clean. And they redid all the gun sounds and a whole bunch of textures and a whole bunch of different things in the map. And wow, it's pretty awesome. And the GUI system is totally different. Looks a lot better. Man, it's so good. And I can't wait to get back in there. And now there's the night mode for Island, which, by the way, is super difficult. If you go in there without night vision goggles, you're hurting. You're going to die. You're going to lose your stuff. So make sure you put on those night vision goggles or do Island on daytime.
I think the only fair way for me to play Ghost of Tabor is in night mode, but me be the only person with the night vision and everyone else.
There you go. That's perfect.
I think that is the only way that we can level the playing field for me to actually
feel
good.
I want to see that
about my skills.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a fantastic idea. Skiva, I haven't even been in there yet because I can't pull myself out of Crossfire Sierra Squad. It's so freaking
really
good. I absolutely love it
yet. We were at Gamescom when two major games dropped. Right, we had Firewall Ultra that dropped, and we had Crossfire Sierra Squad, and the reception for both were pretty poor. But I feel like I've heard more good about Crossfire than I have Firewall Ultra. So I do got to get in there. I want to get in there and check it out. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll tell you that.
Let's go in tonight. Let's the three of us go in tonight. We can go in and play.
Is it multiplayer?
Yes, it is. You can play 2-player mission multiplayer, or you can play 4-player horde mode.
Oh, okay.
Or you can play single player.
I'm in.
So let's do it. Let's go in tonight and play.
I'm in.
It's so good.
Or guys,
What?
we can either play battle bows, cards and tankers.
Battle bows.
Games I've been playing lately.
Hey, cards and
They've been
tankards is
fun.
pretty sick.
I haven't played
That
cards. Is it good?
So good.
That is
Is
a
it good?
super underrated game.
All right, I would do that then.
Yeah, if you like games like Magic the Gathering, things like that, then you're gonna like this. It's a really, really cool game.
You know, I love Hearthstone, and I never played Cards and Tankers. So I was like, I don't want to just hang out in a tavern. I don't even understand what this game is. I was so confused. I was like, what did they do? Play like Go Fish? I don't.
Go Fish. Old maid.
I don't think that the marketing on this is like very clear, because I am definitely the target audience, and they did not target me. you know, but it's so good. Anyway, so we could play that.
Yeah, I'm
it
down.
does go to show you that marketing is so very, very important. If you want the right people knowing that your game exists, you got to do it right. You got to do it right. So hit up Impact Reality and we'll help you out. But
That's impactrealityxr.com.
Yeah, oh, nice plug, guys. Way to go.
Yeah,
I'm just following Steven's lead.
Cards and Tankards is an interesting one though, because it's such a fun game. It's very well made. They worked a lot on the balancing, on the social aspects of the game. But it's one of those games that if you go in there by yourself and you've never played a game like that before, you might be a little lost. But luckily, the community in there is really, really awesome. And if you do have the guts to just go over and walk up to a table full of people, most people in there will take you in and show you how the game's played. You know, it's a game where you upgrade your deck and you can pull cards in and take them out and replace them with other cards before games, and then really like customize the deck to you and how you want to play, and then go in there. And you know, I go in there. I used to go in there a lot, at least with Mateo, and we'd go in there and play and just talk, and he would just annihilate me every single game. But it was still a lot of fun. And
I want to play again.
I'm down. Let's go. Let's get in there. I'm ready. Set it up, Jazz.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. I think this was a really good episode. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I want to do it again. What do you think?
Can we?
Yeah.
Maybe in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool. Like, you know, it's going to be nice because I think we're going to try and rotate some other people in here too, which will be fun. Like, we won't all always be able to be here, so I think it'll be fun to bring in some of our teammates over at Impact Reality, and we have some really good people that that are talk show people too that have done stuff like Wes or Todd or and some of the other people that are there as well. So I think it'll be fun, right?
It's great because we have a rad squad. We really do. I mean, I don't even like you can call them team, I guess, but they're my squad.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, I feel like I don't know if we can end this episode without talking about a certain website.
Oh shit! I completely forgot about it. Hell yeah, yeah, definitely. Tell everybody about Tell her. This is. I'm super proud of us for this. Go ahead.
Me? No, Skiva, you do it.
You do it? All right. So, do you want to know what's happening with the VR or XR industry? Are you VR XR news junkies like us?
Yes.
Well, you are. Well, great. I have some fantastic news for you. You can head over to xrupdate.com and you can read up on all of the latest games, all of the newest things happening in virtual reality, from tech to industry to video games. And it's all beautiful, wonderfully done, and put out by the wonderful people at Impact Reality. Our squad that I just mentioned has been doing an amazing job with this website. It just recently launched, and I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy it. So head over to xrupdate.com.
Yeah, so there's so many interesting news, so many things happening in the industry, which is really exciting. Like, there's almost too much news to even for one news outlet to capture. So we're trying to find like the hidden gems, the things that like, that you should know about that maybe isn't really being shown in other places. So, and of course, all the interesting, important things as well.
Yeah, one of the things that we struggled with was we would see all of this amazing news. We're in the bubble, right? We're in the VR bubble, and we would see these games coming out and these amazing things, and we'd be like, why aren't these other news outlets covering this? This doesn't make any sense. We'd be like, hey guys, you in there? Did you see this? Why aren't you covering this? And nothing's happening, right? So we're like, okay, well, I mean, I guess we just do it ourselves. So here we are. We can do it ourselves.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things with me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I love some of the new services we have are really, really good. It's just that there's some that I want something different from, and not every one of them has exactly what I want. And
Cute
the only
games.
way, yeah, no more cute. The only way to get what I want or what I want to see is to help do something the way I want to do it. And like we've got some super smart people. Like I've always said that Wes Dillon should be doing something in some type of news media because he's so good at it. And we had a chance to bring him in and do that. And I want to I want to see articles from Skiva. I want to hear and read articles from Todd or Jasmine or myself or Wise, or from you guys, or from others, or from some other. And you will see this from other content creators out there, your favorite content creators. So, I just want to see. I want to see and hear articles from people that love games and that are gamers, and that's kind of what we'll be.
That's
and
one
that
of the
play
reasons.
different games too.
Absolutely.
I'm always going to push this cozy game thing, okay? Every second I get, like, just like how Steve is always pushing Ghost of Tabor any second he gets. I'm like, cute games, cozy games, let's do it. Like, there is.
Did you say Ghost of Tabor again? All right,
No.
here we go. No, but for real, guys, it's really cool. There's just so much happening all the time, and I feel like we all only get to see a little sliver of it. And one of the things I loved about VR Trend magazine, do you guys remember VR Trend magazine?
Absolutely. I got them. I got every issue right here.
I loved VR Trend magazine. And one of the reasons I did was because it was a whole bunch of the people that we knew, people that truly loved and were passionate about video games, just writing themselves. You know what I mean? They might not be like professional writers or editors, but man, what they had was that, they had a little bit of skill, but they had passion and they had a lot of knowledge, and they were able to kind of like really throw up some amazing stuff. And I hope we are able to do something very similar with XR Update, because right now it's awesome. That's where I want to be. And I look forward to reading it as well. So
yeah. And if you okay, so we have a question, like, what's the best way to submit an article if you have something cool that you want to share with the industry? Yeah, this is the way to go. And so if you want to submit an article at the moment, you can email pr@impactrealityxr.com. So or DM one of us and we'll send you that email address.
Yep. Do it up. Now's your chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have a lot more coming on it. We've kind of soft launched it. But it will be coming, more out front soon. We'll have some new articles that'll be going up every day. So go bookmark it. Go in there and take a look, bookmark it, and read some. Skiva just has a new article coming out. Hopefully I have a new article coming out on Gamescom, like a wrap up. I think within the next couple of days.
It's really good.
Oh, thanks, Jazz.
Eric read it to me out loud.
I did. Jasmine's like, it's too many letters and I can't read it. So I'm like, I'll read it to you.
Eric's a really good writer.
He's
Eric's
really
a great
good.
writer.
Yeah.
Wes from Virtual Strangers, great writer. Like, what the heck, man? It's a lot of talent in this industry.
The way that I after Eric read me his article, I was like, wow, that was, how should I put it? Delectable. It's really nicely written. Like sometimes when the words are just so well chosen, you're like, wow, that like feels so good to listen to. But yeah, so Wes, everyone knows Wes, right? From Virtual Strangers. He is our editor-in-chief. He's such a good writer, man. He's the perfect person to really make sure that this news website is up to par and up to the standard that we all know you expect out of all of us.
And if you are a developer, send us your press releases.
Yes. Absolutely.
impactrealityxr.com.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the biggest things too. If you want to know the newest games that are coming out, we will be covering games. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we see that's we will be covering games. We'll have dates that games are releasing. We'll have probably, we're gonna have some of the things that you were looking at other websites and going, I wish this was this, you'll find here, I promise. Yeah.
And if you don't, go find Eric.
Yeah, no, Wes. You go forget Wes. It's all Wes's fault. But awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Jazz. I almost forgot about XR update.
I know. Yeah, you were so fixated on Gamescom. We get it. You like to spill beers and Skiva's lap.
That was a highlight. That was a highlight right in front of Orla Harris from Side Quest.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And even when, do I even say this? Even when the outside of my clothes dried, I definitely walked around Cologne, Germany for the rest of the night with soaking wet underwear. It was awesome.
It smelled like beer. It was good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got in the shower and it smelled like that rubber mat in a bar. You know?
Yeah. That catches all the stale beer.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Who doesn't love that smell?
I could have really lived my night without knowing this information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh man, what a way to end a shot! What a way to end a podcast! This is fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you next time.
We will see you next time, and I gotta find the button to say goodbye, and I don't know where it is. All right. Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
It won't end.
It won't end. Well, we're here for a while, everyone. So
Why is it
hope
frozen?
you enjoy hanging out with us.